try to visit some of you guys.
Say again? You have to speak
I
up.
got
You
a
moved away from your
passport
mic.
now. Hmm?
You moved away from your mic. 5 minutes, by the way, and then
Oh,
we're
sorry.
starting.
Yeah, I said I got a passport now.
You got a
So,
passport?
yes.
Have you not? Have you never left your country before?
No, I had a European ID card, but now I have a passport, so I can move anywhere pretty much, except for Antarctica.
Back in a second. I'm just gonna get a pop.
Sorry? Oh, you're gonna start?
No, he said he's gonna get something to drink.
Oh, right, right. I'm gonna smoke something.
Alright.
I'll be back for housekeeping.
Hey, you. Come here, please. Got the back chat, Arwen.
He went for a smoke.
Oh, covered in biscuits. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Oh dear.
Yo. Hello? Is anyone there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Yo, should start right about now. Nathan is taking his time with his coffee.
Yo.
Hello.
Arwin,
Yes.
Bob said I'm not allowed to bully you anymore.
Huh. All right.
But I also realize what your position is now, and I think there is a bit of a language issue. You know, what you're talking about is the axial, like the fact that there's an axis when things are being arranged, whatever the cause is, it's on an axis, right?
That's one of the elements, yes.
And that axis has got a direction to it from your perspective, right? From your view.
No, it's nothing to do with personal. It's geolocation wise.
So what's it referencing?
It's referencing the density buoyancy alignment in relation to Earth.
How do you know it's in relation to Earth?
Because that's the only reference point that I can tangibly prove.
Well, it depends on what shape the Earth is, though, right?
No, it doesn't. I only see gravity as an effect, as I've been saying, as an aberration. It's a combination of effects that suggest unity.
Arwin, listen. Before he goes live, Bob said to me, he says, don't fall out with Arwin over his views. Get Arwin to agree that you can't call it gravity. And I said, well, we've kind of agreed that. And he said, whatever, he can call it anything he wants, but by calling it gravity or anything similar to gravity makes people think it's gravity. And I said, well, that's what I've been trying to say to him. And he said, just get him to agree not to call it anything like gravity and then let him do what he wants.
No.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please, please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Travis, Sleeping Warrior, and Arwin. Good to have you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yo, yo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Any signs of curvature?
No.
Nope.
Any signs of axial rotation?
Nope.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
Nope.
No.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
Nope.
Yeah, Nethio in
Never.
chat thinks that you can have a container, right, called the Earth. He thinks the Earth's a container, Nathan. What a moron.
Right. So just need to see that demonstration of that pebble inside a vacuum chamber with a gas attached to it. I'm sure that won't be too difficult, Nathio. Sort us out, get a link together. We'll play it on the show.
Make a picture up from space and pass it to that, what's his name? Oh, God. Matt Simmons. Pass it to him. He'll be able to make you up a picture from space.
Right, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Nope.
There is no distance to the sun.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
9 pa.
Nope.
Nope.
What about the presupposition itself? Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius, gentlemen?
Nope.
R.
Nope.
Oh, well, that concludes our housekeeping. You all have a nice weekend?
Yes. No. Maybe. Started doing a bit of work in the garden today, a bit of digging, and I can't tell you how much mud expands when you start digging it. What looks like a really small patch, I thought, yeah, that'll be done in like less than an hour. Half a trailer. It ended up being massive. It's like, where does all this mud keep coming from?
Yeah. It's compacted.
Trees.
Yeah, it does.
When
Trees
you
are
throw
organic.
it out, it has room to expand.
Once you break that
So-
cohesion, you end up with like so much more mud than what you ever expected. It's ridiculous.
Did any of you watch Globebusters? I didn't have the pleasure yesterday. Didn't have time.
Well, I was on it for the whole show because
Oh, really? Bloody hell. Oh, I'm sorry, Anthony.
Eru didn't show because I think it was something to do with the clocks. So he was there at the wrong time. So Bob said, "Do you want to jump in?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And it was funny because, like in chat, I was quite interactive with the chat. You know, chucking stones at people because that's what you do when you're not really the main host. And they were basically saying that it was a pre-recorded show. And I'm like, "You got a live chat, you moron." And they were like, "Yeah, but this is I was at your talking with Bob and Jaren whilst talking with me." And I'm like, "Well, it's because I'm Ace." So they actually thought that it was a pre-recorded show just because I was interacting with them. Obviously, they're not used to that on Globebusters.
But you don't disclaim is that you're not actually paying attention to the people on the show.
No, I was having a conversation about refraction and about all these other things, and I was able to do both. But I was on fire last night.
Fair enough. Cool. I'll have to check it out. About you, Arwayne.
Me?
You have a good weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, church was open again, finally. It's been open
What's open?
for 3 months or something. Church, right across. Yeah. I go to church.
Is that calls for celebration, is it?
Hooray. Well, it was very nice to see a couple of people again, and I had great conversations. So,
Cool.
yeah, I got a couple of flat earthers there too.
Excellent.
Nathan, you watching chat?
Not really. Have a
Liam's
look.
just said Nathan Oakley, Sleeping Warrior, bigged you up royally. To be
Oh,
honest,
brilliant.
you got a lot of credit. You got a little bit of criticism, not because of you being you or anything like that, more because there are certain people in Flat Earth that can't come in your chat. And they were saying that it's not fair that they want to come in the chat and they want to heckle the audience like what we do. But because of who they are and the what's the word? The position they hold within Flat Earth is quite relatively high. They just get targeted straight away by the idiots. And for that reason, they just don't feel welcome in your chat. And I was like, do you know what? If I was of that upper epsilon of Flat
That
Earth,
is the default.
I can see where they might be coming from.
Well,
That is
only
the
advice I'd
default
give-
of the show. Come on.
I was going to say, just join the show, because the chat, yeah, it gets published, so you can see the type of vitriol that is presented to us. That, and so it remains on the second stream when I put it on my second channel. But yes, I would not disagree. The chat, and I haven't said this for months, the chat's the pits. It's the absolute pits. I wouldn't disagree. And I want to show that. So, yeah, I agree. It is the pits. Whoever said that, was it Bob?
Bob was saying that he wants to get involved, but he feels as though he can't because he gets targeted by all the trolls. He hates half of them, and the other half he can just about tolerate.
Well, half of those trolls will never join the show.
Yeah, that's right. And I just ignored them. I mean, I love that block button. That's what I told Bob to do. Just block them. He said, "Yeah, but it gets published on the channel." I'm like, "Block them anyway. No one cares about them." But he takes it a bit personal.
The trolls are like algae. The more shit you give them, the more they start to bloom.
I prefer dog shit as the analogy. Oh, on a different note as well, I got told by Bob that I'm not allowed to bully Arwen anymore. He's entitled to have his views on gravity. And I said, but they're ridiculous. And he said, that may be, but as long as everybody agrees that it's not gravity the way we're told, everything goes. And I actually agree completely with that. My main issue is that we call it like this thing that like sounds like gravity. And we should be clear when we're talking about it that we're talking like we're spitballing. We're not talking about this as though it's the way we're told. And on that basis, I'm fine with it. I don't care what gravity may be. I'm just bothered about what it's not. And Bob said I'm not allowed to bully Arwen anymore.
Well, maybe you just got to keep apart the structural speculation parts of the show and the actual attempting to scientifically prove things part of the show. Because I keep a very distinct difference. I keep track, okay? Very carefully, because I have to.
Well, I wouldn't say that you're very careful about it.
Yeah.
Part of the issue, right? The way I see it is sometimes you talk about it in a way that makes it like sound as though that is the way it is. And it's not clear that you're spitballing. Spitballing's fine. We all do it, right? We all think that things may not be the same as what we're told. But it's just there's a difference between spitballing and like prophesying.
I described all these symptoms, and I've also concluded now, because I have no more maneuvering room, that it is an aberration of things. Several elements that all point together, like there is a unified thing there, but they're only symptoms. It's like a ghost within structure of things. And there's no proof it's a real thing. You can't prove it. It's just like a ghost. And it's very compelling to make you believe there is something because so many things point at it. But
that, or you were brainwashed to believe there's a force there, and now you've discovered that there isn't.
No, but it is there. There is something there, but they're all just a bunch of symptoms that suggest something.
But to try and establish the cause of things that are just laws of nature is, you know, you're chasing your own tail.
Yeah, that's something that you have to have. You'd have to like kind of ask God himself.
Okay,
hey,
I understand that.
Hey, how you doing, music? Can you hear us?
Oh. Alicia Champagne says that the show's better when me and Arwen are friendly.
Good to have you. Say again, Anthony.
Alicia Champagne says that the show is better when me and Arwen are somewhat friendly. Urgh.
What about you, Travis? You had a good weekend?
Yeah, not too bad.
Bit of karaoke?
Yeah, I did karaoke Friday night. I did a new song. I've got it posted up on, and there's two versions. There's the long version, and then I put the second version in with the lyrics so you could see the words. And yeah, so that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Are you working at the minute, Travis? Are you out on the road?
I'm off for actually, if I can swing. Well, I was going to take a month off, but I think I'm only going to do 2 weeks. So I'm flying to Dublin Wednesday, and I'll be there for a week, and then I'll go to California to see my folks before I go to Colorado for the conference.
Oh, you going to the conference?
Yeah, I'll be there.
You international jet setter, you.
They have karaoke. I got to show up.
Hey, Chris.
Oh, you're a karaoke fiend?
Hey, Event Horizon. How you doing?
And Chris Berry.
Morning.
Morning.
I don't see Chris in the chat. Where's Chris?
I do.
Oh yeah, there he is. Apologies, I do see him.
Hey, Event Horizon. Nope, no
There's
sound from
definitely the
Event
rustle of
Horizon.
papers.
No sound.
Nathan, that
Oh,
Oh,
it's
he's
dropped.
dropped.
He'll be back.
Nathan, that show from I think it was yesterday with I don't know who that guy was. I think he was new. He was a baller. Man, I don't think I've laughed as hard in any episode. You had me cracking up.
Oh, Nathan, Southern Israelite. Have you seen his most recent video?
I have.
Have you watched it all? I haven't had the pleasure yet.
I scanned through the first half. I'll be honest.
I watched it all. I made some comments.
Well, I'm hoping he shows up because I haven't seen it yet, but I'd like to see what his position is because some of the things he says I agree with, but other things he says I see them as like religiously based. And although I don't mind him having a religion, I think that if you've got a bias in favor of any religion, I think that you're going to have a distorted perception of the truth. I don't think you can be biased.
Hear us?
Hello guys, how you doing today?
Very well.
Yo.
Loving your comments, by the way, Event Horizon. Very amusing.
Yeah, I've been on the trail of our friend Conspiracy Cats for the last few days.
Is that
Trying to
so?
get him.
Who's conspiracy cats? You mean conspiracy flat?
Hey, Physics.
Conspiracy Twats.
Hi, Nathan.
Good to have you.
Conspiracy flat. Oh, hello, Physics.
So yeah, Southern Israelite, yeah, he's welcome to join, and I'll point out the error of his logic.
Yeah, I said yesterday on Globebusters that he was free to join, and he said, well, I tried to join the other day, and Nathan kicked me for being, well, for whatever reason, and I was like, well, if you're actually having a proper discussion, I'm pretty sure that Nathan will keep you in because that's the nature of the show. But if you say something silly, you're probably going to feel the wrath.
I don't remember kicking him.
I'm not.
I remember him coming in several times. I don't ever remember kicking him.
I think he's been in once. I remember him coming in once, maybe twice.
Yeah, but I don't remember him ever getting kicked. I could be wrong.
No, neither do I, actually. Did Southern Israelite get kicked, Darwin? Do you remember?
Southern Israelite?
Or did you kick Southern Israelite, maybe?
No. No.
Well,
I remember him being in, but I don't remember whether he got kicked or not. But anyway, the point is that
maybe he did.
If there's an issue with the scientific method, he needs to come in and address it, because it's all right doing a hate video, but let's have the back and forth, because there are many things that can't be discussed in a back and forth video. Oh, by the way, Nathan, did you get the files I sent you of that guy that did your test?
Maybe. Was it? Oh my God. My kid's now forcing the sharp end of Mr. Potato Head's eyes into my eye. No, I don't want to be Mr. Potato Head. No. Right. Sorry, what was the question?
Did you get the files I sent you of the guy that was repeating your video?
What, in a hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them. I don't want his lips either.
Right, I'm screen sharing, Nath. Would you mind presenting it?
Sure.
We don't need. Oops, I need to knock the sound off so that I can hear what's going on. Where the hell's the sound? Right, basically, what he's doing in this is he's got a mirror. Now, this is basically what Miles should have done, right? This is a short. I mean, how far is this? What, 30 feet? In his
30 feet?
In his house.
I doubt it.
What?
Doubt it's 30 feet.
How far would you say that is?
15 feet?
Most.
All right, let's say 20 feet. Let's say
Okay,
20 feet.
20
I don't want to do it too short because I don't want to overestimate how short it is. But point is, he's got this mirror. The reason why he's got the mirror is because he can't get his camera onto the floor. He has to get his camera close to the floor, but the lens is too high. So it's a bit like Miles's. Now, rather than put the wooden bits on the floor that are not reflective or whatever, he's used a mirror. And I'm not sure whether this is good or bad, but it's definitely worth considering, because if he angles the camera along the mirror, then he's going to be looking parallel to the floor. I think he'll get the zero angle. I'm not sure that this is good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I'm just saying that I think this is probably fine.
I think it's bollocks. I think what I'm trying to do when I do it in the long hallway is replicate a long-distance observation. That's what I'm trying to do. So, where you show me how this is analogous to your observations, Anthony. Do you ever use a mirror?
Not really, but
right. So he just needs a longer space to get a narrower angle. So whoever this guy is, just find somewhere longer.
Yeah, but he's doing it in his house. Right, hang on. Just let's not be over.
Hold on, Anthony. Right, I've got a hallway, right, and it wouldn't achieve it. It's not long enough. So is my excuse going to be that? Oh, right. Well, I've only got as long a hallway as I've got. Well, no. I waited till I had a long enough space to do it. And so if someone wants to go to their bloody hallway, 5 paces to try and debunk me, find somewhere bigger. There's been loads of people on the show already say, yeah, I'm sure everyone's got a supermarket with a super level floor, not a bloody hallway and a mirror. I mean, you lazy piece of crap. Get out and do it in a supermarket where it's nice and long, where you can reduce the angle properly without using bloody mirrors. How many times has this been done in a normal observation? Never is the answer.
Right. Shut up and have a minute. Let me present it and just then conclude based on what you see.
I've already seen it.
Based on what you haven't seen.
It's because I've already seen it.
What?
No worries. I'll shut up.
So the reason why he's using the mirror is to get that parallel angle of 0 because he can't get his phone low enough, right? So you can see as he looks through the mirror that he's looking parallel to the floor without actually being at floor level. So, okay, it's a reflection, but I don't see a problem with this. I think that this is acceptable. Perhaps not, but the point is that he is able to get it parallel to the floor. Now, when he changes his angle, which is the next file, hang on, bear with me. Where the fuck's it? This is what I mean about Skype. I hate Skype. I have to look at that. I have to retype in Skype to get it to open up. So that's the mirror one, and then this is what the results that you get. So what you're looking at here is this bottom edge here is the bottom edge of the mirror, and you're looking backwards, if you will. So even though it looks as though you're looking down the hallway, you're not. You're looking at the reflection of the hallway, and there's the bottom of the mirror, and these are his results. So he's got a coin at the other end of the thing. You can just about see it, but you can see that the skirting board changes its angle as he drops. So he's getting the same result, although he's reflecting it through a mirror. But I don't think it makes any difference because it's linear and it does the same thing. Hang on, let me just reopen Skype again because it's shut down. And his third video is that one, and then this one. So what he's now showing is a bigger version of what we've just seen. So he's basically showing that he's got like these objects at the top of the thing. That's where he's going to be doing it, and this is where he's going to be looking. And he's got these. Let's move it further forward. There we go. So he's got a pen top and a pen and a bottle top. And he goes down to the other end of his hallway, hopefully. Come on, what's going on? Hang on, why is it not working? What? Let me try that again. For some reason, that didn't play. Because I asked him to do it in a slightly different way, a little bit more of a coherent way, so we could see like the process. So he went and did it. Right, just play properly now. Come on, there we go. So these are the targets that he's looking at: pen top, and then a pen and a bottle top. And he's got this lip. He's saying, take note of this lip here. This is a cat scratching pole, and it's on a base. So he gets his mirror. Why is that now not working?
Dude, download it to your computer and just play it with a proper player.
I don't know why that's not fucking working. What? Anyway, the point was that he got the same results that you did, and it verified and supported your observation. The only difference is he did it with a mirror. And he was asking me whether or not it was acceptable, and I don't see really a problem with it.
I do.
Well, he couldn't get his camera low enough. It supported you without... It was the compromise he needed that was better. I would say that that's better than the way that Miles did it, where he like artificially raised the floor. So I'm going to give kudos for it, even if you're not.
Kudos for doing it, but ultimately speaking, you just need a longer distance. You know, that's pretty simple to do.
Well, he did try it in his warehouse, but because he couldn't get the depth on his phone, because his lens is in the middle of his phone like Miles is, he didn't get it. And he said to me he was disappointed because he thought that he was going to validate Nathan's results.
Well,
and
you're not going to if the lens is in the middle of the phone.
You need to reach the critical viewing angle. That's it.
That's why he's used a mirror.
Okay.
That's why he used a mirror.
You just need to get the lens lower. So you need a phone with the lens on the bottom edge of the phone. Unfortunately,
yeah, but that's not what he's got, though, has he?
Okay, my bad. Then you need a longer distance.
Or a hole in the floor.
No, longer distance will do it. Because obviously, you can achieve this over, miles from a few feet above the level of the surface. Well, when you're talking millimeters, you can do it in a few yards. But, not in a few feet.
No, of course not.
I can't believe, for some reason, that file won't play. I don't know why.
Skype. Just
I shouldn't be
download
so
the
critical.
file to your
To
computer
the guy
and
or
then
girl
use
who
a
did
proper
that,
player.
kudos anyway. It's at least you're trying.
Yeah, he did try. He tried it in his warehouse in work, and he couldn't get it because he deduced that it was his phone that was the problem. He couldn't get it low enough. So he went home and tried to do it on his landing with a mirror because he felt that he could get it parallel to the floor with the mirror. And I agree. He got it parallel, and it did the same thing that you did. And that contradicts what Miles's did. And he just did it with a mirror. But I don't really see a problem with it because I see it as linear. It's not looking down on an angle. It is parallel, but
that might be the case. It's just not analogous to what's actually happening.
I agree, but it's a valiant attempt, and the guy needs.
It is a valiant attempt. I shouldn't be so critical.
You're right. You shouldn't, because that did come up on the show last night with Bob on Globebusters.
Equally, though, the same goes for Miles. Kudos for at least trying to replicate it. I didn't expect anybody to do it, so kudos to Miles as well. Well, yeah, we can be critical of what Miles did, but at least he's doing it. If he didn't, we wouldn't have anything to criticise. So
he's still a worm.
That's just who cares about him personally? Seriously, I'm just grateful that he's actually attempting to debunk what we say. So then there's a discourse going on.
Yeah, but he claims that he did this. He did debunk you, though. That's the problem.
That's okay. He didn't. So I don't care. Like I say, I'm hoping others, not me. I could very easily do it. My wife told me don't do it. I literally got geared up to go down to my local supermarket when it was late because there's hardly anybody there. It's a 24/7 supermarket, and just film the floor. My wife was like, "No, don't do it again. Why? You've done it. You won't get anywhere near as many views on it because it's just you replicating your own work. So what? Just let others do it. It's easy. It's not hard to do. You just have to find a long enough, flat enough surface. And there's loads of them. Supermarkets are, like you say, a very good candidate. They've got extremely level floors because they don't want people suing them for tripping over ledges. They don't want supermarket trolleys rolling away along their floors. So they're very flat.
I've got to give a shout out to Al K. Just present my screen, Nathan. Check this out. I think Al K has been going to the school of Simon Dan. Al K's videos, I've just changed it. I've sorted by most popular. And look at the numbers that we've got here. 328, 300, 300, 300, 400, 400. And then you get this row where it jumps up a bit. 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 1,000. And then you get his peak videos. 1.3, 1.4, 1.4, 3.2. That was quite a good one. 3.2, quite a good one. And then all of a sudden, a week ago, he's got a video with 17,000 views. So shout out to the school of Simon Dan, because obviously Al K's been attending to it recently, and Conspiracy Flaps has been doing it too. So everybody seems to be jumping on this Simon Dan video thing.
Well, check out yesterday's about midday today, I think. Oh, it's long gone midday. God, I can't even keep track of the time. The second show was just released on my second channel from yesterday, and at the end of that show, who was it? Stopping Traffic in Morasta Hat was explaining that where it used to be the case that third parties would sell their services for their multitude of people sat behind desks, clicking on your videos, giving you views and giving you thumbs up or whatever you pay for. Now, I haven't checked this out, it was only yesterday I found out about it, but now, according to Stopping Traffic in Morasta Hat, YouTube themselves offer this service.
Really?
So he told me. Like I say, I've yet to look into it. So
Yeah,
they
why not?
can't beat them, join them.
There are AI specialists, so
Hello, Earth
easy.
Flattener.
Controlled opposition is the best kind of opposition.
What is it I'm looking for on your other channel?
It's the most recent show from yesterday, so it'd be
Hello.
569. It should have just been released at midday.
Right, 2 hours. Yeah, I got it. What about it?
Well, it's not worth looking at it now, but just listen to the conversation once the show finishes, or to anybody. That was more an appeal to the audience than you. So just check out the conversation between myself and stopping traffic in my Rasta hat yesterday after the show finished. And he went through it, and I started detailing what I understood about the services that were offered for people to buy subscribers and views, and what YouTube do to combat it by purging those fake subscribers, or, similarly, people who haven't watched your videos in a while will get unsubscribed as part of the purge if they're just not watching your videos. So that I knew, but what I didn't know was that in some point in the interim, YouTube have said, well, if you can't beat them, join them. We'll sell these services. And, however, I don't know anything further than what he's told me, but you'd have to listen to the conversation or speak to Stopping Traffic in my Rasta hat to get a bit more info on it. But yeah, it seems like rather than trying to combat the third parties that are charging to give you an increased view count or sub count or whatever, YouTube themselves, like I say, this is second-hand information. I've not verified any of it.
I think so. I think they do it. It's very easy. Controlled opposition is the best kind of opposition. You can make a profit out of it. If people are going to do it anyway, like, would they really care?
I don't think so. As long as everybody's
As long
fighting
as
amongst
the money
themselves.
keeps rolling and people keep making things, they're fine with it.
Arwin,
Yes.
cat's eyes.
That size.
Yeah. Let me screen share one more time. A cat's eyes are different to humans' eyes
Right.
in that they don't have a pupil the same way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a slit, and the slit, like it opens up like humans' eyes do, but when it closes and it gets narrow, it's got slits.
Yes.
Isn't that quite interesting in that they don't have the same design as us?
I know. Cats see very differently.
Yeah, I wonder how they actually see as a result of it. I mean, I remember
They
seeing...
see things like motion blur, like the sharpness of edges and motion. That is what sticks out the most to them. And I don't think they even really see color.
Yeah, it was just because...
Just by their smell senses, their motion senses, and yeah, the response, the instinct directly tied into their vision.
It's just the shape of the pupil that made me I was looking at you know, this angle of attack that Nathan's being attacked for by like everybody for making up science. Well, if you look at cat's eyes, they don't have this like circular aperture to their eye. They have this like slit. And
Yes.
It's interesting because it means that they don't have the same level of eyesight. I was just spitballing. It was just like, oh, they have different eyes than what we do. Wonder what that means.
No, it's their receptors are placed slightly differently, I think, but it's mostly about how quickly the light can be admitted, because they can widen open pretty fast this way with this build, allowing them to see still a lot in the dark. Because
Hello.
their pupils are open up huge.
Hey, Warren.
Oh yeah.
So it's a mechanical thing mostly.
Yeah, but then you have owls that have round pupils, so they need to see in the dark too.
You got to understand that they don't really need the circular pupil to properly focus, because they're not focusing really like that.
Arwin, there's a massive Burke in chat called Zell, and he asks, did you see his bridge observations?
No.
Zell? No.
Why don't you come on the show and present it, Zell?
Yeah, come on the show and present it. You've been on once before, made a fool of yourself. Let's see if you can improve on your previous appearance, Zell. Let's hear it. What have you got for us?
Full panel.
I'll give up.
If he says he wants to, we'll have to get someone to drop, because it's a full panel at the moment. So let us know if you want to join.
Don't drop. He won't join. He won't join.
Well, he might. If he does, I'll ask. Just so you know, Zell, if you do want to join, say in the chat, and I'll ask somebody else to free up space for you.
Yeah, and I think that everybody that's in the chat should be rallying Zell, because if he's got something that's worthy of being seen, let's present it and let's tell us what we're looking at so that we can, well, basically laugh and pull it apart.
Yeah, come inside, Zell. Make your claim.
So everybody in chat, make sure you give Zell a nudge and say, "Come on, Zell, join the panel. Let's see."
Oh,
Shout out to Zell.
And if people are wondering where I get all these details about cats and how they perceive things, I love cats, and I've raised many cats. And one particular cat, my latest cat, I
we all
raised
like
from
a bit of
birth
pussy.
till death, and yeah, we had a bond, and can't explain it.
We
It
all
looks
like-
reptilian.
But I studied her and I tested her in many ways, and she loved it. So just figuring out like how is she perceiving things, and really looking at her direct attitude and their eye response and everything.
Have you ever had a cat?
Yeah, a long time.
When was the last time you had a bit of pussy?
What?
Doesn't matter. I think it might be a language thing. I thought you might have just said, "Oh, a long time ago," without thinking about it, but you didn't.
Well, my cat died pretty much when I arrived here in this location.
Well, do you know what pussy is a slang term for?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so let's have a response from Zell. Oh, he's saying he can't talk.
Can't talk at the moment. Not possible. That was his response.
Yeah, he can't talk at the moment.
He can just sit in a chat room and indefinitely spam it with nonsense.
He doesn't have proper pre-programmed voice constructions yet for the topic.
Shout out to Zell. Come on, someone retract it.
Yeah, retracted.
Well done. Bob said it last night as well. There was a shout out. I gave a shout out to somebody, and I didn't expect anybody to retract it, so I retracted it myself. But Bob said right after it, he said, "Oh, I wanted to do that." Shout out retractions are a thing. Anyway, so any of you morons got any evidence for us? Because let's be honest, there's not a lot there. No curvature, no axial, no gravity, no nothing, and you all believe it. It's funny.
Are there any ballers on the panel?
No, I don't think so. They don't come in anymore, the ballers, because they call Nathan with the rumpus button. The rumpus button is formally the mute button.
No, they just sit. They just sit in the chat and be pretenders.
Yeah, they heckle from the background.
See, I respect Nathan's, willingness to not kick anyone or to let anyone who wants to come in and all that. The one change I would make is anyone who is in the chat just talking away and being a keyboard warrior, that if they then don't come on the panel and debate, then I would block them for the day or something like that.
Yeah, but the problem is then you get rid of like so many of these so-called ballers. There wouldn't be anybody left. There's only about 6 of them, but the actors zone is like 100.
If we did that, they'd only start to actually really try to porn bomb and all that shit again. They'd be really pissed off.
I think it's funny that the rumpus is attacking everybody for what he claims is a false perception of science, but when he talks his science, he gets it completely wrong and doesn't understand that we're all laughing at him because he's like, he has to obfuscate the scientific method, right? And we know he does. So if we say, well, what's your independent variable? The thing that you manipulate to prove the cause. We know that he's got to manipulate. He's got to obfuscate that point, no matter how stupid he looks. So it's like
several controlled variables. And
it's like when we talk about Coriolis, right? You can guarantee that George will be in. It's as if he gets pushed in from the group. George, Coriolis, and they push him in his back, and in he goes. And then George pops up the minute we start talking about Coriolis. Well, when we start talking about certain parts of physics, the same then happens with the rumpus. He comes in, and no matter how bad it makes him look, he will obfuscate the point no matter what. Won't let anybody criticize him. Won't let anybody challenge him on his nonsense. And he will literally bark it at you like a dog barking non-stop that won't shut up. And that's what rumpus is like. So when Nathan gets criticized for this mute button, Well, the mute button's now called the rumpus button because there's the rumpusing technique and there's the rumpus protection. And that mute button is now the rumpus protection.
Yeah, only used in case of rumpusing.
Yeah, the rumpus button.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, guys, play fair. Be open to criticism and allow us to challenge your bullshit rhetoric. That's why we're here. We don't believe that what we're being told is the truth. And you guys are telling us it's true. And we don't believe you. So let us challenge you and then prove those wrong. Can't be that hard. We're all stupid flat earthers, right? But now there's a panel of 10 of us. Gone are the days where the ballers had the control.
Little alligators have swum up into the pond now. This is an analogy I was thinking of last night. You've got the big alligators in the Nathan and the Riley and the Arwin, and now the big alligators have made it look so easy that little alligators like me come swimming up into the pool. And we want to bite at these ballers, but they're just not around anymore.
Yeah, but alligators eat piranhas, don't they?
That's very true.
Ankle biters, piranhas. That's all that they are, piranhas. And once we cross that river in a group like we have right now, those little piranhas don't touch us. And that's all they are, piranhas.
Yeah, who's going to come and walk the narrow bridge of science today? If you fall in, you're going to get bitten.
Well, it's laughable. It's laughable, but for some reason they've got this cohesion that we just don't have within Flat Earth, because we're all like discussing what may be rather than attacking what's not. But these ballers are stupid. I mean, they all talk about how ABC scenarios are all proving the shape of the Earth, right? And they're all far down the rabbit hole. They can't get the basics right. Prove curve, axial rotation, gravity. Then there's a discussion, right? But they can't prove these things, and they have to swerve. And it's brilliant. I enjoy it. I wonder if Nathan would have been told after 12 months, you'll be in a position where no baller will join, and you won't have had anybody blocked. They're all free to join, with the exception of Brenda for deleting those 700 files of somebody else's work that she had no permission to. Which I've got to block.
Brenda can join. It's only if you're here that she can't.
Yeah, I'm here most days though, so she
That's
can't.
true.
I think that she's disgusting for doing that, and I think that it's terrible. If she'd have deleted my work, I'd have killed her. But you know, she thought they were bats, and she thought that was an acceptable reason, and I just think that's terrible. But other than Brenda, anybody's free to join. The Rumpus, M. Scott Veach. Tell us about your daddy being an astronaut. Let's laugh at you. Who else?
Conspiracy Cats. He's free to join any time. I want to put that invitation back up.
Conspiracy Cats and Paul Voigt are in the same bracket in that neither of them, they both claim that they've got evidence to prove ABC points, right? But neither of them actually can. They believe they've got evidence and they tell everybody they've got evidence and they've probably got some explanation, right? But they can't prove the points that are both pertinent to them. So for Paul Voigt, he claims that he's got evidence of a molten iron core that he won't give to me because he thinks I'm too, and his words were that I'm too stupid to understand it, right? Even though I'm writing a dissertation at master's level on this point, he still thinks that I'm too stupid to understand it. I would have thought he'd have been chomping at the bit to be able to present that and show how stupid I am, but apparently not. He hasn't got this evidence, I'm going to assert, and that's the reason why he can't join. Same for Conspiracy Cats. He can't explain with evidence how gas pressure can exist next to a vacuum without a container. In his own words, without the balloon, there is no pressure. Well, that's true. So how do we have the pressure when we're supposed to be in a vacuum? And he can't answer it, so he won't join either. And then what he'll do is he'll play the victim card and say that Nathan called him a bum boy, but actually that came from himself. They were his words, not Nathan's words.
I actually went back and watched that debate last night with the 5 minutes Conspiracy Cats intervention where, yeah, it was his own words, Nathan, I'm not one of your bum boys. Well, that was hilarious.
But now
you dug your own grave in 2 words.
He's now using that phrase as though Nathan said it originally and Nathan didn't. It came out of his mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that. I went back specifically because I've had Conspiracy Cats up and down in comments over the last week or so because I want him to come back because, as you said, he's making lots of noise. He's making lots of claims, but he's not bringing evidence because he hasn't got any. But yeah, I went back and watched that specifically last night because he was talking about Nathan mutes me and Nathan was doing this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, until you started asserting that we don't need the container for our pressure system, your obvious flaw in your argument, that's when people started jumping all over you and then you ran away. That's what happened.
And until Conspiracy Cats presents himself, we should refer to him in future as Conspiracy Flaps because only a pussy runs and he's a runner. He doesn't want to come and answer the question because he knows he can't prove it. He has to rely on something mathematical in the form of the Boltzmann formula. But if he realizes that the Boltzmann formula is simply a probability calculator, that doesn't represent real world at all. It's the probability of, doesn't make it true. And he doesn't get that. He thinks that the formula explains everything and he's happy to accept it and push that as truth. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's terrible. And I think that you should have more of a connection with the world in which we live. You shouldn't be keen to jump on a model, i.e. that formula, because that's a reification fallacy. We want to see the proof that these things are true. We want to see how a gas pressure can exist next to a vacuum without a container. It's that simple. We want to see how a gas pressure can exist in the first place without a container. So we have 14.7 psi of pressure. We breathe it. Where does that come from? It has to be in a container. What's the container? Could be a dome, could be a... Who cares? But there's got to be a container unless you can defy the second law of entropy, right? I don't think they can. Gravity is the explanation, but is there any evidence to prove that it's true? If there's no evidence to prove it's true, it's a just so story. And do we accept stories? No, but we are taught them as truth, fact, really. So it's like, well, if you guys can't prove it, that's worthy of debate. Hence the reason why I'm doing a dissertation based on one of these things. One of these 5 questions is that exact point, because these people can't prove these claims are true. They're just a story.
Yeah, conspiracy cats and the like aren't going to come in because they can't prove their claim. They can't walk that narrow bridge of science. And they're definitely not going to get to the other side of it without all of us jumping on him. So, yeah, I'm not surprised the man's not coming in. It's got no evidence for his claim. It's just got lots of noise.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of a fan base.
It's the same as Paul Voigt. He's got this, he's stuck on this, Paul Voigt is stuck on this molten iron core. He's not going to get off that. He can't get off that because every time we see his name, we ask him for it because he claims that we have a molten iron core, right? And we laugh at it. And there's no evidence to prove it because seismology, the Kola super deep borehole, 7 miles is about 8 miles as far as we've gone. And the seismology predictions all turned out wrong. Yet Paul Voigt claims that we've got proof. And I'm like, really? Well, it's your duty as a scientist or a physicist, he calls himself, which I don't actually believe. You've got a duty to prove this thing, right? You tell people these things are true. Well, I call bullshit. And that's one of the topics that's going into my dissertation because I don't believe the evidence is there and it wouldn't be satisfied in a court of law if they were put to the test. I don't think these facts that we're taught as truths would actually be able to be proven to be true. And I think it's just a rhetoric story.
I'm just thinking.
I could
From
smell
a science
burning.
fiction angle perspective, it's probably devil's advocate, but I could think of a theoretical solution on how it could work.
How we know? No.
Oh, they're gonna love it.
Nah, I just don't want it, Darwin. I
It's
just don't
very
want.
science fiction-y.
Yeah, I don't want it. You know.
No, I don't want it. These are conversations for offline when we're just spitballing, right? And we're just passing ideas, and we all do it, right? But when we're in the
Funny
debate,
thing, it kind of fits in with Einsteinian gravity a little, but it's
who cares? It's their argument. Let's not have their argument for them. Let's wait and see what they come up with. And then ask them for proof. And then watch them go, because that's what they do.
What they want is us to come up with a just so story to rip apart. That's
Correct.
what they want.
yeah. Well,
Well, why do you want to give it them?
No, you're
We're
very
ripping
bad
their
at
just
those,
so
Alvin.
story apart.
No, I'm very good at those.
Right, offline, yeah, you're great at them, but right, online, let's not give them the ammunition that they want. Let's not spitball online. Let's spitball offline. Let's get them to prove their claims online, and we all know that they can't. Prove axial rotation, prove curve, prove gravity. Can't do it. Why not? Who cares? But you can't. But we're all taught it as fact. It's not necessarily true, though, is it? Oh, by the way, I've challenged Flat Earth Math to a hangout sometime. I don't know when yet, but I've told him the questions that I'll be asking him for proof of, and it won't even be a discussion or a debate. It'll just be a let's see what proof you've got, because I just don't think they can prove these things, and that's why I'm putting my time into this course, because I don't think that they can, and I don't think they would be able to satisfy a judge that these things that they accept are fact are actually fact, because I just don't think the evidence is there, and if it was, they'd be all over it, and not. Can't prove curve, axial rotation, gravity. Sorry. Just think, Nathan, 12 months ago, right? if somebody would have said to you in 12 months' time, there'll not be a single baller coming on the panel and it'll be full of flat earthers just sat there, all with a circle jerk, but there's an open link, right? Would you have accepted it or believed it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for. I mean, I've always known the truth's on our side, so you've got a very difficult uphill battle if you're fighting against reality, and reality is Earth is flat. So if you're going to come and assert otherwise, you've got to try and prove it, and the only thing you've got to assert it with is religious belief.
Yeah. Drug test Riley, Donnie Johnson says, I don't do drugs. Rum, yes. Drugs, no.
Yeah, you don't count crack, do you?
No. Hookers and cocaine, no, they don't count.
They don't count, so yeah.
Smash
No
the super
drugs.
chat, boys and girls. George Stevens, have you looked at Soundly's new infrared footage of curved water? Soundly hasn't got any infrared footage of curved water. You might want to check your facts on that one.
Soundly been filming atmospheric conditions.
I couldn't help it, guys.
Again.
I said it in chat.
Right on cue, George Netanyahu. Why try to join the panel? You just kick anyone off that backs you into a corner, Riley. Listen, George, you couldn't back a bloody car into a corner, let alone me. You don't understand the Coriolis force, George, or the Coriolis effect. You don't understand the things that you claim are true. You get things wrong. You did it in a video recently, and I responded to it and said that, hey, this isn't what the math says, is it? You described neutral buoyancy as an equal and opposing force, but neutral buoyancy doesn't have the word force in it, George. But that's what you told everybody in your video, and that video's still up. That's a lie, George, isn't it? And if it's not a lie, it's recklessness on your part. That's not what the math says. That's not what the science says. You made shit up. Yet you're challenging me to be, you're claiming that you can get me in a corner. Really? Well, why don't you join, George? Let's see what you can actually do. Tell us about Coriolis. In fact, actually, Nathan would love to speak to you about Coriolis.
No, I wouldn't. Shout out to Dan for the super chat.
George Stevens. George Stevens says, please explain. It's not infrared. He says it is. I haven't actually paid too much attention to Soundly, but as far as I understand it, I haven't seen the video that you're referring to, but I do know it exists. He calls it near infrared. And as far as I know, that means he's plugged the infrared filter on the end of it, which actually filters out all the color and doesn't make it infrared. So if you think that there's an infrared filter going on his camera, therefore it's infrared, you're entitled to think that. I'll call you stupid, but that's not infrared. It might look infrared because it's black and white, or it's like shades of grey, or whatever you want to call it, but cosmetically speaking at least. But it's not infrared. You need to make the mod, and he hasn't done it. So unless he's actually made the mod, it's not infrared. Sorry.
So he's not. So he's just taken an unmodified P900 and stuck a filter on it and called it near infrared.
I don't know what he's done. I haven't looked at the video. I'm aware the video exists, but I noticed when I looked at the name of the video, he calls it near infrared. Well, it's either infrared or it's not. You can't have a near infrared. It's either one or the other. And it's another example of where you're being deceptive with words. It's not infrared unless it's infrared. And you can't call it near infrared if you just made it sepia or grayscale, which is what it looks like he's done. I think that he's just applied the sepia filter to it to pass it off as infrared. And I mean, I'm not saying that he's definitely done it. I've got it on screen now. I'm watching it. But I mean, yeah, it looks grayscale to me. That looks like all he's done, and he's passing it off as so-called infrared. Well, wait until Ranty does it with his camera, right? Then we'll see what happens at 20 miles. It's not going to do what you say it does, Soundly. You're a liar. The name of his video is entitled P900 Near Infrared Little Tensis Bayou. No, it's not near infrared. It either is or it's not. And if it's not infrared, it's not infrared. Sorry.
Can you screen share, Anthony?
Well, I've got Zal in the chat says, unfortunately, no one can be told what the globe is. You have to see it for yourself. So my question to Zal, when did you see the globe for yourself with your own eyes?
Do you know, it's really easy to be in chat beating your drum. But they don't like coming on the panel, and I don't understand why. If all this whole body of science is behind you guys, why is there so much cowardice? We're all dumb flat earthers, are we not? It should be dead easy for you guys to sort this out. Why haven't you done it?
Yeah, there's no evidence for the globe. The globe is a dying religion with its zealot members fighting amongst themselves. So I know earlier on in the show you said there was good cohesion between these globe heads. Well, I don't see that. Over the last week, I've seen them fighting amongst themselves.
Well, that's because we've been using their science against them, and we've got to say, well, hang on a minute, one guy says this and the other guy says that, both of which are ballers, yet they're opposing positions. Which one is it? And it works. Jimbo says that density is not a force. Well, I'd agree with that, but neither's weight. But weight's only considered a force mathematically. It has little g in there, and little g, of course, is a force, according to them. But mathematics isn't reality. So Jimbo's right, density is not a force, but that sentence should continue. It should say, but neither is weight. And then obviously Rumpus will pipe up and say, yes, it is, of course it has little g in it. And we'll say, yeah, there's no little g in real world, though, is there? 5 minutes to go before the end of the show.
Well, before the end of this show.
And there's no ballers in sight. No evidence, no ballers, just people chucking tomatoes in chat.
Yeah. I think it warrants a blessing. Radius Dominus, Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus, Arwin. Go in peace, in our you trust, globeheads.
Arwin.
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 Alicia says,
power of R.
Alicia says, bless us, Nathan, for we have sinned. Well, look at Bob last night. Pastor Bob last night was dishing the dirt so much in the Ball Earth camp that it was just ridiculous. Last night's show on Globebusters was the fastest paced show that I've ever witnessed. Normally, like, they'll have like 4 or 5 things that they spend a lot of time on, and it's like nice and slowly paced. But there were so many topics last night. It was 4 hours flew into like 10 minutes for me. It was so fast.
What did you cover? What subjects did you cover? Does anything stick in your mind?
Refraction. But there was quite a few things actually. Well, there was a lot. We were talking about refraction, and someone's done a video, and what he's done is he's done the pylons, and he's lined up the camera to the top of the pylons, and said that perspective doesn't account for things dropping in the distance. But he's got the camera lined up to the top of the pylons. Line it up to the bottom of the pylons where the human stands, and then watch what happens, because it kind of does do what we see. Things do get smaller into the distance and they drop to the horizon. But he had it lined up with the top of the pylons, and he showed that it was always parallel to the horizon. Well, that's not how we see it in the real world. So on the one hand, he said you need something more, which I do agree with. But on the other hand, he didn't really show it the way that we see it real world. He lined it up at the top of the pylons. Well, nobody's like 200 feet tall. Everyone's down on the floor. So whatever's going on at the top, who cares? Show it what it's like at the bottom. But no, I do agree with him. I mean, whatever goes on in addition to perspective. Well, I reminded Bob that when you're doing observations over water, the vapor that's evaporating over water is less dense than the air that the vapor sits in. So if you're going to apply Snell's law, then Snell's law, aside from the fact that there's no change in medium, water vapor that's rising because of its density is less dense than the air around it. And because of that reason, the light is likely to bend up, not down, because vapor is less dense than the air it sits in. So the vapor's going up, but the light will go up with it. And that's a problem if you believe we live in a sphere, because most observations are done over water. And there's always an element of vapor in the water. Even when it's cold, there's still like vapor rising from the water, because it is getting direct sunlight. All right, it's less in winter, but in summer, there's oodles of it. So it's like the effect of that vapor is going to bend it up because of vapor being less dense than air. So that conversation kind of stops immediately in my eyes. But I think there's about 10 things that affect refraction, generally speaking, and it's all lumped into it's Snell's law that applies, and it all bends down, Riley. And that just doesn't seem to be the case.
Is that an impression of Mark Taylor, someone that used to be on the show like about 50 or 70?
How did you know it was Mark Taylor?
Oh, Riley, you're so stupid, Riley.
Well, he doesn't talk like that.
Sorry?
How did you know it was Mark Taylor specifically?
Well, that's the kind of voice I have in my head when I go back and look at old shows. There's a guy who was talking about equatorial mounts,
Yeah.
And I think that's the name of the guy. And he had this ridiculous kind of voice to him. And I have this thing about voices, and they stick in my head. And his is one that specifically sticks in my head. He was a nutter as well.
That is who I'm imitating when I do that accent. It is Mark Taylor. It's like, Riley, you can't explain equatorial mounts, Riley. And I'll say, yeah, just because the sun goes over the horizon and then the telescope bends down and then comes back up the other side doesn't mean that the sun's actually going there. That's called computer software, right? And it's probably doing what perspective does, because everything, including planes, all goes down to the horizon. What it does after the horizon is the point in question, right? And I think that they go around laterally and come back to where they start. So they set in the west, rise in the east, set in the west, and then they laterally go round to the east. But they don't go antipode to you through the floor. But the equatorial mountain telescope does that, apparently. And apparently it only works on a sphere. Well, that's if you program it to work as though we're on a sphere, because at the end of the day, the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. And what it does when you can't see it is the point of the argument. Does it go underneath your ass, or does it go around you laterally? And that's the $1 million question. And you can probably see in summer. I mean, I see it all the time in summer because of the way I work and whatnot. But when you see in summer the sun setting over the horizon, and then at like midnight or at like 1 o'clock in the morning, you're still seeing sunlight, right? Oh, it's the tilt of the earth, that Riley, you stupid. Well, if it's the tilt of the earth, it's still underneath your ass, though, right? Why are we getting light over the horizon? And you can see it. You can watch it literally go round to the east from, like, it's just bizarre. But it's supposed to be under your ass. I mean, the amount of times I've come in at like 3, 4 in the morning, and I said to my missus, look over there now, and there's sunlight over the horizon, right? There's no sun, but there's definitely sunlight coming over it. And it's supposed to be around by Australia. Even if you account for the 20% tilt, 23% tilt, that's not that much. It's still supposed to be under your ass. And it looks like it's just over the horizon. You just can't quite see it. But if you were to like get a little bit higher, maybe you could. But, oh, it's the tilt of the earth, that Riley. Are you stupid? Yeah, but it also looks like it's just beyond the horizon. It's a little bit too far away. It's how do you interpret antipode?
It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of technology and a computer and a presuppositional R.
Yeah, they don't understand that these equatorial mounts are basically computer software telling the telescope what to do. And if you were to reset that laterally instead of like antipode and so it passes underneath you, right, it would support flat Earth. And we would say, well, that can't happen on a ball. It'd have to be going underneath your ass. Just so happens that the equatorial mount goes underneath your ass, and that's where they think the sun is. And I look at that and I just think, you're a moron. The sun's not under your ass. It's just over the horizon over there.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!